What is up, my dude skis? We got Forced Roost on MX Simulator. So this is a video I've been wanting to make for a little bit here. So this is interesting with MX Simulator, right? That seems like a lot of people I don't even think they realize Roost is in this game because of basically how many people don't really run Roost on MX Simulator simply because it's an option, you know what I'm saying? So basically, like, if you talk to 99.99% of those people that think MX Simulator has shit graphics and it's outdated and all that, they'll probably tell you, oh, I didn't even know MX Simulator had Roost on it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of people really don't even know. I would say I've ran Roost on maybe like, I don't know, maybe 5 out of, I don't even know, maybe like less than 1% of my videos, right? Like maybe even less than 0.1% of my MX Simulator videos. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's in there, but most people just don't run it because they want the FPS advantage, right? They want that FPS advantage. Oh, holy shit. I swear some of these default robots on MX Sim are worse than Dooskies in 03, but yeah, dog. So, yeah, basically, which I'm just kind of cruising, trying to show you guys the Roost, right? But, yeah, so most people don't run it because you want the best of the best FPS that you can possibly get. So, a lot of people make their game look like complete Play-Doh in MX Simulator so it runs better, you know, but that doesn't mean that the game can't look better than that or doesn't even have Roost at all, or, you know, I think a lot of people get twisted and confused on that. Even the graphics I have set up right now, oh, you gotta love the snail's pace some guys are running. They're like, good job, Spence, send it, bud. There you go, now you're wrecked. So basically, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, even right now, I have my graphics half. I have the ground quality half of what it could look like. And this is even a super old, outdated track right here, right? So it's all, like, I feel like with MX Simulator, you can make it look way different than a lot of your other standard arcade motocross games, you know what I mean? Those are going to, like a new official Monster Supercross game or something, that's going to be a lot more uniformed on how that looks. Whereas, like, MX Simulator, you could have your grandma's PC running like some old school track from 2007, some default track like this, and have your graphics turned down, and it's literally going to look like a game from 30 years ago. Or you can be on like one of the tracks like the Nicholas Sandbox tracks, have your graphics maxed out to 10, have all your NVIDIA settings graphics turned up, your Roost turned on, the whole nine, and it's going to look like an MX Simulator 5 or some shit, you know what I mean, compared to this, right? Like, it's going to look light years ahead graphically of this. So MX Simulator just has a lot more, see how you explain it, a lot more variables to what each individual person is going to be running graphically, right? So a lot of people get twisted on that with MX Sim. I feel like it's so easy to just see one little thing of MX Sim, like one little piece of footage or one little whatever, and be like, oh, that's the whole graphics to the entire game or whatever. Sorry, guys, I'm breaking like a hoot. I'm trying to, like, go slow enough to where you can see the Roost, and then, like, forgetting some of these big huck lines you got to hit on this track. My bad. That's that one triple. You got to be on it, on the throttle pretty good, and then the weird traction of these old tracks kind of throws me off a little bit, but we're getting back on it. All right, so, but yeah, Roost is just another example of that, right? 99.9% of people just don't run Roost because they don't want that extra lag. Then it's really all there is to it. You know, most people in the pros are not going to, not only to not have the extra lag, but to not have Roost flying up in your face. You know, that in itself is a visual disadvantage, right? You understand what I'm saying? If I get right up on these guys and that Roost is flying in my face, like, that is a, good God, these bots are something else, boy. That's a visual disadvantage, you know what I mean? No, it doesn't have tear-offs and ripping tear-offs and that whole side of it, but just the visual, you know, squirting dirt up in your face, like, that is going to affect your vision riding in the game, especially if you have like 5 or 6 people, especially on the start, you know, all that. So that's another reason why, if it's an option to have it turned off, most people competitively racing are just going to have Roost turned off to have better FPS and not have the Roost flying in their face and have that, visual disadvantage in that sense. So even if people are going for realism, a lot of times most people won't even have their roost on. They may have their graphics turned up so you can see ruts and stuff better, but typically roost is never turned on. So when it comes to, if roost is ever really going to be a thing in MX Simulator, it's going to have to be forced, right? So it's going to have to be like there's just roost on MX Simulator and you can't turn it off. And I understand both sides of it, and that's what's so amazing about MX Sim is you can play this game on your mom's computer, right? And because of all the different graphical changes you can make to it, turning roost off, turning this, and that off, so if they force roost on, it's basically just going to make a lot more people's PCs lag more, right? So you're giving up a lot of visual graphical stuff in the game to get that higher frames per second. You can get MX Sim to run 120, 140 plus frames per second. So, and that's what makes the online real simulator racing experience that much better because you got such a high frame rate. But I can also see the side of where it's like, hey, there's not even any roost. Like, that's such a big aspect of real-life riding and tear-offs and everything else, but not even considering tear-offs and mud and whatnot, but just roost in general flying up in your view. Like, in real life, it's a mother trucker. I mean, it ain't no joke, dog, because not only do you have the visual disadvantage, but you also have the, land right on that kid, not only do you have the visual disadvantage, but it's like you're getting shot up with paintballs. It's the pain side of it. It's the can't see, depending on how the dirt is. When it gets that real clunky, chunky freaking dirt that just slings rocks basically at you, that's when it gets hardcore. I've raced it quite a few times in real life where the roost is like that, and it's something else, boy. I mean, it's like a whole nother element to the racing, like that you don't even experience at all on MX Simulator, really, Obviously, you're not going to be able to replicate the paintballs, shooting yourself with paintballs like Roost is in real life, but just having that visual aspect of it a little bit more, having it on there and having a tear-off system and all that would be kind of cool, but because obviously, even though this game has Roost, doesn't really have where the dirt collects up on the goggles itself, or like up on the screen, you know what I mean? So we'll see what happens in the future, but the whole forced roost thing, I mean, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, you would just expect it to be where it's kind of, you'd expect it to be where most people would run it, but they don't. And that's just the truth of the matter. Most people just simply don't run it. The only time you're going to see people running Roost in this is if they're like a full-blown beginner, they don't understand what's going on with the graphics, or if they're literally just trying to show off the graphical capabilities of MX Simulator. Ain't nobody running that in the pros. Ain't nobody just running that just in general. Like, no one's running Roost like that, So if it can become more optimized, that would certainly be a trick and a key to it. But a lot of people don't understand, a lot of people don't understand the little intricacies in the coding and everything of MX Simulator in the sense of where it's like you can do so many different things. So just because you're seeing this kind of roost on this track does not mean that's just the roost of MX Simulator, you know what I mean? You can change the amount. God damn, these bots, sort of God, they're 03.5, dog. Like, shit, literally like they're magnetized to you, you know what I mean? You ride by and they're just like shooting directly at you. I don't understand why it's like that. But either way, basically, I'm just getting on here to goof around and have some bots with the roost like this. So, yeah, that's, most people just would never actually default standardly run that, but look at that. He turned right before I need to freaking rewind that and play that slow. He turned right before I got to him. Oh my God, it cracks me up, bro. But you can have any kind of roost you could possibly imagine in this game. Like a lot of other custom track things you can do in this game. So I could have purple roost if I wanted to. Literal like purple perp skirt roost. And I could make it to where, look at it. There's another example right there, boy. I could have purple roost, green roost, orange roost, any color you could possibly imagine. You can change like the texture of the roost. So you can have like literal grass looking roost versus like dirt roost. You can change the amount of it, not only in the settings, but you can change like the spray pattern of the roost, right? So you can change it, make it look like more mud roost versus snow roost. I've actually went in there and made quite a bit of different roost in my own custom track, so I do have a little bit of experience with making Roost in this game, making your own Roost coding and your own Roost files and stuff like that. I have actually done that. I've made my own snow Roost, my own like red clay Roost. I've actually made Roost on, if I'm not mistaken, I think I did that where I did where it's like concrete, but you're riding on it, but it's not even Roost. It uses the Roost file, but it's not Roost. It's like smoke, white smoke coming up from the back of your tires when you're on concrete in the game. And, you can adjust it like that. You can do damn near anything you want to as far as what's coming off that back tire when you're riding. You know what I mean? Change all the patterns, change the width, change the length, change how far it sprays. I mean, you can change everything about it. So a lot of people don't understand the customization and the different potentials of a lot of the different custom track making in MX Simulator, but that's how the Roost is. You can make it any way you could possibly imagine, basically. So, that's one aspect of it. Like every track, if Roost was forced on, every track would have a different Roost. It would have a different spray pattern, different type, different amount, different, all that kind of jazz, right? But it would just be forced on. So everyone would have Roost on every track, but it certainly changes the graphical look of it. I mean, you know how it looks when you're racing and there's like no Roost turned on at all. It just looks totally different from when you got 40 dudes with Roost flying, it changes. It just changes the way it looks completely. And it will affect your vision, like I was saying. I mean, especially if you're in a battle. Like this right here is kind of goofy. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like this kind of goofy where I'm like just going through the dudes, super slow robot dudes like this. But if you're really racing somebody like in a Pro MX or Pro SX race or something, and you're right behind somebody like this right here, and you're both wide open for 30 minutes plus one, and you're right behind them, and you're having to deal with the visuals of that Roost flying up and still seeing where the ruts are and everything, it will affect you, I mean, let me try to get right behind a guy for a minute. Let's just see, which this track may not have a super amount of Roost on it compared to some of the others, but like it's going to affect your vision versus, just not having Roost on at all. So it is a big deal in that sense. Then that jackass comes up, tries to join the party while I'm trying to ride behind somebody. But yeah, so that's the whole thing. I don't know, guys. I really don't know what the best option is. I mean, obviously it's going to give us way more realism, way more of a graphical look to the game if we have Roost forced on, but then it's going to lose a little bit of that, where you can just get on the game with any kind of computer and play it, because Roost itself does add quite the lag. I mean, it really does just in itself. So that's really the ticket, I guess, like I was saying, is if you can get the more optimization to it somehow, where it just really basically doesn't hardly cause any lag, and then you just force it on, and like you would just expect it to be in a motocross game, right? And so then you won't have any more of this shit where people are saying, what? MX Simulator doesn't even have Roost. You're going to say that's the greatest motocross game of all time? It don't even have Roost, dude. And those are the idiots that don't understand anything, right? So that's what I'm getting at. I think eventually someday down the line we will have this. I mean, it is not that far out of the box having forced Roost on MX Sim, because it comes down to this. It's already in the game, but no one's running it because, like I spoke about before, the disadvantages of running it, no one's running it. Don't kid yourself, like no one's doing it. The only way you're ever going to have people really playing with Roost on MX Sim is if it's forced. That's just the way it is. There really ain't no argument in that. So that's why this whole conversation even comes up. Like if we're ever going to have that realistic Roost or move ourselves into tear-offs or having dirt up on the screen itself or any of that, you've got to have a forced Roost, right? I don't think you can go on there on Reflex and like Fish Monster Supercross game and just turn the Roost completely off. Like I don't think that's actually possible. It could be, but I don't really think it is. But, especially in a simulator, you'd expect to not be able to go in there and just turn the Roost completely off. That does seem a little insane, but I think it was just more of with a game this old and kind of giving you more graphical options so that you could eliminate some of that, strain on your PC. That's why it was basically the option to turn it off was even put in there, was because of that. But I think it's getting to the point where a lot more people are getting better computers, You know, a lot more people are getting deeper into PC gaming. It's not like it used to be. I mean, a lot more just your standard dudes now are getting into PC gaming, getting better gaming PCs. There's a lot more avenues to get gaming PCs now than there used to be. So I think that whole, like, trying to make the game work on your mom's Dell laptop is kind of going a little bit out the window. I mean, obviously, MX Simulator still, you can totally warp the graphics in a massive way still. So, but some of these other integral parts of the gameplay, I feel like need to be forced at some point. You know, Roost being one of them, stuff like that. I mean, and then they got the whole weird vibe where you can see the erode better with this, like, basically Play-Doh versions of these newer RF Supercross tracks. For whatever reason, you can see the erode way better when the you know, you've got like a lower resolution ground decal version of the track, right? For whatever reason, it allows you to actually see the erode way better with that. So, but yeah, so which it shouldn't even be like that. It should be universal on how easy the erode is to see. They still needed to make some massive improvements on that side of it, being able to make the erode more visible. I mean, it's just so god-awful when you can't see it, and it just rips your front end away from you, and you're like, what the hell just happened? And it makes you have to tiptoe in your Jordans around the entire track, or you're going to hit a kicker and wreck. And the main problem is you can't see it. You can't anticipate it, so then it becomes more of a luck gap thing than a skill gap thing. Like, whoa, I got lucky I didn't flip over that kicker that I can't see at all this lap, versus like, that looks like this big of a kicker, let me go this fast like you would in real life. You know, MX Simulator is kind of missing that whole visual element to that. Oh god, can I land it? Nope. But anyways, yeah, Forced Roost, eventually I feel like we're going to get it, just like eventually I feel like we're going to get tear-offs and mud up on the screen and all that whole 9 yards. Eventually I feel like we'd get VR for MX Simulator, right? Eventually I feel like quite a few of these different things are coming, and the game's not dying out anytime soon, people. When you got this kind of bike filling and physics system, and all of the track content in this game, and the community, and the people that still make tracks and still do things for this game, and content on YouTube and all that, I mean, you're still going to have a lot of people that's never even seen this game before, and they're like, wow, you know, still getting first time introduced to this game, still to this day. I mean, I feel like MX Simulator is probably the best game for that. 10 plus years later, and you're still going to have new people get into MX Simulator and be like, whoa, what is that game, dude? That looks crazy. That bike looks insane, the amount of movement you have on it and the realism of it and all that. And so people still to this day could get into this game for the first time and start playing it, become a YouTuber, do the whole 9 yards, be a track maker, be a gear maker, be a pro racer, right? So, you know, that's what I'm getting at. If you lose like 50 people a year on MX Simulator, completely lose 50 hardcore fans or whatever, you'll get another 50 back. I mean, you know, it's just it's going to be a revolving door for a long time on MX Sim. So it's not going to die anytime soon, and JLV is just going to make more and more money off of it when people purchase this game. You know, he's just going to make more and more and more when they purchase MX Simulator. So the more people that get into it, the more kind of futuristic update stuff we can have in the future, and that'll be cool to see all that. But either way, it is Forced Roost. It's coming. It'll be cool when that's really in there like it should be, because then it'll be where you're really getting that, at least the Roost visual experience of the game like you should in real life. So that'll be cool, and then it'll just advance and progress from there. So either way it is. Appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Don't forget, if you want to get into my Discord, all you got to do is go add me up on Steam at Spencer Turley, no space, no capital, and I will get you in my Discord, or just go follow me up on, DM me on Instagram or something. My name's the same on that too, Spencer Turley, no space, no capital. Just DM me up on that, and I'll try to get you in the Discord from there. But yeah, dude, I appreciate all the support. We'll keep on these videos, man. Never going to stop playing this game. Greatest motocross game of all time. You know what it is. Greatest motocross game of all time without Roost. You know what I'm saying? It don't even need it to be the greatest. But there's a couple little things, couple little improvements that could be put in MX Simulator to just advance and make the game even better than what it already is, you know. And that's kind of where I feel like it's at. Some little, like, certain things need to be forced, you know, I think is going to really advance the game in a big, realistic manner, and that'll be cool to see that eventually. So, yeah, guys, crazy all the support I've been getting. Sub count she's steadily flowing. We'll keep it rolling. We got it going. You know what it is, boy. Later, dudes.